Welcome to Boost Learning YouTube channel. Learn faster, remember longer and apply better. Presented by Kusal Rizal MST. Today, here we are going to discuss about Management Control System MBS for the semester Unit 2, the environment of Management Control System. कार्य वही केवल फरक अनुभूति. Chapter Objectives 1. Management control environment, goal congruence and factor affecting it. 2. Organizational structure and management control system. 3. Behavioral considerations of management control system. 1. Management control environment, goal congruence and factor affecting it. 1.1 Introduction. A management control system (MCS) does not operate in a vacuum. It is deeply embedded with the internal and external environment of an organization. This unit explores the critical contextual factors, human, structural, and behavioral, that shape the design, implementation, and effectiveness of an MCS. Understanding this environment is crucial to ensure the system guides the organization towards its objectives. Think of it as the ecosystem in which the management control system exists. Just as a plant's growth is determined by the quality of its soil, water, and sunlight, the effectiveness of an MCS is determined by the environment it operates within. A sophisticated MCS will fail in a toxic environment, while a simple MCS can thrive in a supportive one. The management control environment consists of two overarching layers, the external environment and internal environment. The MCS acts as the crucial bridge between them. Here, two-layer environment of MCS has been presented. First one is the internal environment, which consists strategy and objective, organizational culture, organizational structure, and resources. The external environment consists pastelize. P stands for the political, E for economics, S for sociocultural, T for technological, L for legal, E for natural environment, and G for globalization. The internal environment shapes MCS, and MCS provide informations to manager or CEO. Based on provided information, the manager or CEO direct or take any actions regarding to the internal environment and adopt a response to the external environment. 1.2 Goal Congruence. Definition. Goal congruence is the state where the goals of individual employees or subunits, departments, divisions are aligned with the overall goals and strategy of organization as a whole. The ideal state. Every employee from the CEO to the frontline workers makes decisions that are not only in their own best interest but also in the best interest of the company. The challenge. Perfect goal congruence is rare. Individuals and departments naturally have their own personal goals. For example, career advancement, higher pay, departmental prestige, that may conflict with organizational goal. For example, cost reductions, company-wide profitability. Example, organizational goals maximize long-term shareholder value. Sales department goal maximize sales revenue and those sales commissions. Conflict, the sales team might offer excessive discounts or extended easy credit to boost sales, which hurts the company's profitability. This is a lack of goal congruence. 1.3 Factors affecting goal congruence. Several factors can pull the individual's goals away from organizational goals. First one is unclear or conflicting organizational goals. If the company's top level strategy is vague or departments have conflicting targets, for example, production is rewarded for the low cost while quality control is rewarded for zero defects, goal congruence is impossible to achieve. Next one is the dysfunctional performance measures, when MCS measures and rewards the wrong things. Example, Rewarding a production managers only on the number of units produced may lead to ignore quality control and high inventory cost. Next one is suboptimal transfer pricing. The price at which the goods and the service are traded between the divisions. If set correctly, it can lead to divisions acting in their own best interest but harming the company. Example, if the selling division's transfer price is too high, the buying divisions may source from an external supplier even if it's worse for the company overall. Next one is unfair rewards and incentive system. If the employees perceive the system as unfair, political, or not like to true performance, they will be demotivated and pursue personal goals. Next one is poor communication and leadership. If managers do not effectively communicate the big picture and how each role contributes, employees will focus only on their immediate tasks. Next one is individual personal goals. Natural self-interest such as the desire for the power, job security or leisure time can conflict with organizational objectives like hard work and cost saving. 1.4 Role of Management Control System in Goal Congruence. The primary role of an MCS is to promote and sustain a goal congruence. It does this through clarifying and communicating goals. The MCS translates the organization's broad missions into the specific measurable objective for each unit and individual. Designing appropriate measures and rewards. It establishes key performance indicators and incentive structures that reward the behavior aligned with the organizational goal. Facilitating coordination. The budgeting process, for example, forces different departments to align their plans with the company's financial targets. Monitoring and providing feedback. By tracking performance against the goals, the MCS identifies the misalignments early, allowing for corrective actions, for example, coaching, resource reallocations. 2. Organizational structure and management control system. 2.1 Introductions of organizational structure. Organizational structure is the formal system of tasks, reporting relationship, and authority that controls how people coordinate their actions and use resources to achieve goals. Key elements: work specialization. To what degree are the tasks subdivided into the separate jobs? Departmentalizations. On what basis are jobs grouped together? For example, by functional, product, geography, customer. Chain of command. Who reports to whom? Unity of command and scalar principle. Span of control. How many employees can a manager efficiently and effectively lead? Centralization versus decentralization. Where does decision-making authority lie? Formalization. To what extent are there rules, procedures, and job descriptions? 2.2 Types of organizational structure. Functional, business unit, matrix, the network. Functional. The functional structure groups employees based on specialized skill, for example, marketing, production, finance, etc. It is centralized with the decision making at the top. The primary goal is operational efficiency and cost leadership. An appropriate MCS for this structure is designed for top-down control. Responsibility centers. Functions are treated as cost centers. Managers are held accountable for controlling their departmental expenses against a budget, not for generating profit. Performance measurement. The focus is on the internal functional efficiency metrics and such as the standard cost variance in productions, calls per day for sales or time to fill for HR. Budgeting. It relies on the incremental line item budgets to tightly control and monitor spending in each category. Incentives. Rewards are primarily based on meeting the functional budgets, targets, and efficiency goals. Bonus are often a small portion of pay and linked to overall company performance. Impact. A well designed MCRs leads to deep expertise, standardized processes, and high operational efficiency, which is ideal for stable environments. However, a misaligned MCS, for instance, ones that overly stress departmental performance, creates dysfunctional sub-optimization and silo mentality, where departments optimize their own performance at the expenses of the overall company. For example, productions creating large batches to lower its cost, thereby increasing inventory cost for the entire firm. Divisional or business unit. The divisional structure organizes the firm into a semi-autonomous units, divisions, based on products, customers, or geography. Decision making is decentralized to divisional managers. The primary goal is growth and profitability in specific markets. The MCS here must empower managers while holding them accountable for bottom line results. Responsibility center divisions are designed as profit or investment centers. This is a crucial shift, giving managers control over the revenue, cost, and sometimes assets. Performance measurement. Key metrics must reflect the division's financial health, such as return on investment, residual income, or economic value added. The balanced scorecard is highly effective as it provides a holistic view beyond the just finance. Budgeting. Budgets are strategic and built from the bottom up, linked to the division's specific market strategy and provided by corporate headquarters. Incentives. A large variable portions of the divisional managers' compensations is directly tied to their division's profitability and strategic goal. Impact. Correct alignment foster the entrepreneurship, accountability, and the sharp customer focus. It allows corporate management to manage by exception. A misaligned MCS, however, can encourage short terms short-termism, where managers defer maintenance or R&D to boost quarterly ROI, and a lack of the synergy as the divisions compete internally for the resources rather than collaborate for the corporate goal. Matrix. The matrix structure employs dual reporting relationship, for example, to a functional managers and project manager. Its goal is to balance the deep specializations with the project-based educations and is common in complex industry like aerospace and consulting. The MCS for a matrix is the most complex, designed to manage the inherent tensions and foster the collaboration. Responsibility centers. It is the hybrid with the functions as the cost center and project product lines as a profit center. Performance measurement. It requires the multi-dimensional metrics and the 360-degree feedback. Employees' performance is evaluated based on the both their functional contribution and their project contribution. Budgeting. The process involves the complex negotiations between the functional and the project budgets for the resource allocation, which can be time consuming. Incentives. Reward must be a careful blend of project success, functional competency, and the corporate performance to avoid the conflicting signals. Impact. A well-designed MCS enables flexibility, innovations, and the efficient use of the specialized talent across the organizations. Misalignment caused the several dysfunctional, including the power struggles, conflict, and decision-making paralysis, and employees are torn between two bosses with the competing goals measured by the MCS. The network. The network structure is the decentralized and fluid organizations where a central core firm coordinates a web of external partners, suppliers, and contractors. The goal is maximum flexibility, innovation, and across to best-in-class capabilities. The MCRs here must extend beyond the firm's legal boundaries to orchestrate and control the entire ecosystem. Responsibility centers. The core firm is an investment center, but its control system must encompass external entities. The primary mechanism is not a budget center but a contract and relationship. Performance measurement. The focus shifts to end-to-end supply chain and ecosystem metrics, such as the total network cost, system-wide time to market, partner reliability, and intellectual property generated from collaborations. Budgeting. Budgeting is the relationship and contract base. The budget is the set of contracts and the service level agreements with the partners that define the performance expectations and cost. Control type. AP relies on the belief systems, a strong shared vision and values, and boundary systems, the strict rules of the game. For example, ethical sourcing policies, data security standards. Trust is a key control mechanism. Impact. Well aligned MCS creates a highly adaptive, resilient, and innovative organizations with the low fixed cost is seen in the companies like Apple. Misalignment poses several risks, including a loss of control over the partner's actions. For example, ethical lapses in the supply chain and partners' opportunism, where external entities act in their own short-term interests, harming the network's reputations and the performance. Conclusion. In conclusions, the principles of fit between the structure and the control is paramount. There is a no one size fits all MCS. A functional structure requires a control oriented MCS based on the cost centers. A divisional structure demands a results oriented MCS based on the profit centers. A matrix structure necessitates a balance oriented MCS based on the dual perspective and the culture, and a network structure relies on the trust and the relationship based MCS that manage the external boundaries. The MCS is the powerful behavioral lever. Therefore, senior management must consciously design it to reinforce the structure and strategy, as a failure to do so will inevitably lead to suboptimal performance and strategic failure. Here you could see the summary table of organizational structure. You can pause the video and look at this. 3. Behavioral considerations of management control system. Introduction. Behavioral considerations in a management control system refers to the deliberate attentions given to how the system influences and is influenced by the attitudes, motivation, perceptions, and actions of the people within the organization. It instances it is the recognizes that an MCS is not just a technical number crunching tool, but a socio-technological system designed to guide human behavior towards the organizational goals. The core premise is that the success of an MCS depends less on its technical perfections and more on how effectively it motivates and aligns the employee behavior. 3.2 Key dimensions of behavioral consideration. Motivations. How the MCS inspires the employees to expert efforts and commit to their tasks. This involves understanding psychological drivers and designing rewards, both financial and non-financial, that employees value. Next, goal congruence. The central objective of aligning the personal goal of individual employees and managers with the strategic objective of the organization as a whole. The MCS must be designed to minimize conflict between these goals. Dash functional behavior. The anticipations and mitigations of negative unintended consequences triggered by the control system itself. Example includes gaming the system, manipulating data or timing of activities to meet targets without delivering real value. Short termism, focusing on the short term performance measures at the expenses of long term health. Next one is perceived fairness and trust. The belief among the employees that performance measures, targets, and reward allocations are just, equitable, and transparent. A system perceived as unfair will be resisted and can endure trust, leading to a low moral and high turnover. In summary, behavioral considerations ensure that the MCRs work with the human nature, not against it. It shifts the focus from supply, controlling employees, to enabling and empowering them to make the decisions that are both personally rewarding and beneficial for the entire organization. 4. Strategy of an organization. 4.1 Introductions. Organizational strategy is the integrated plan or framework that defines an organization's long term directions and scope. It determines how it will achieve superior performance and competitive advantage in changing environment by configuring its resources and capabilities to meet the needs of markets and fulfill stakeholder expectations. In the similar terms, strategy answers the three fundamental questions. 1. Where do we want to go? Vision, goals. 2. How will we get there? The plan, the path. 3. What will guide our journey? Values, principle. It is the bridge between the organization's present reality and its desired future. 4.2 Level of strategy. Strategy is not monopolistic. It operates at the three distinct levels with the large organizations. First, corporate strategy that focus the overall purpose and the scope of the entire organizations. Key questions: what business should we be in? How do we allocate the resources among them? How do we create a synergy across the business? Next one, business strategy. Focus: how to compete successfully in the particular markets. Key questions: how do we gain a competitive advantage? Who are our target customers? What is our value propositions? Next one is functional strategy that focuses on how each part of the organizations will support the business strategy. Key questions: how can the department contribute to the business and corporate goals? 4.3 Key strategic framework and theories. These frameworks provide a structured approach for the managers to analyze their situations, make the strategic choice, and allocate the resources effectively. BCG growth share matrix. SWOT analysis. Diversification strategy. Generic competitive strategy. Strategy for capacity expansion. Strategy for entry into a new business. Strategy for declining business. BCG Growth Share Matrix. Purpose: a portfolio planning tool developed by Boston Controlling Group to help the multi-business corporations decide how to allocate the resources among their different business units. Framework: it plots the business unit along the two dimensions: market growth rate and relative market share. This creates four quadrants. Stars: high growth, high market share. Characteristics: leaders in the high growth market. They generate significant cash but also requires heavy investment to maintain their position and fight off competitors. Strategy: invest heavily for the growth, protect market share. Next one is the cash cow, low growth, high market share. Characteristics: leaders in the mature, slow growth market, they generate more cash than they need to maintain their share. Strategy: milk the business, minimize the investment and use the excess cash to support the stars and question mark or pay dividends. Next one is question mark, problem children, high growth, low market share. Characteristic: operate in attractive markets but have a weak competitive positions. They require large amounts of cash to build the market shares but is uncertain in if they will become stars. Strategy: either invest heavily to gain market share or divest, abandon if the potential is not there. Next one is a dog, low growth, low market share. Characteristics: poor performance in unattractive markets. They may generate enough cash to break even but are not significantly value creators. Strategy: divest, harvest, run for cash or liquidate. Strategic implementation: the goal is to maintain a balanced portfolio that uses the cash from cash cows to fund selected question mark and stars, ultimately creating the more cash cow. The next strategy is SWOT analysis. Propose a fundamental strategic planning tool used to assess the internal and external environment of an organization. Framework: it involves listing and analyzing internal factors, strength, weakness, external factors that can be uncontrollable, creates opportunity and threats. Strategic implementation: the true value comes from the connecting the factors. The base strategy leverages strength to capitalize on the opportunities and counter counteract threats while also addressing weaknesses that make the organization vulnerable. Next strategy is diversification strategy. Propose to define how a company will enter new business to achieve the growth or reduce risks. Framework: related diversification: moving into a new business that is logically linked to the company's existing operations. Types: can be concentric or vertical. Rational: to achieve the synergy 2 plus 2 equals to 5 effect by sharing resources, capabilities and activities. Example: Apple diversifying from the computers into the smartphone, share technology, brand design. Unrelated diversification: entering a new industry or business that has no obvious connections to the existing value chain. Rational: to spread the risk across the different markets or to pursue financial synergy through the superior corporate oversight and capital allocation. Example: a tobacco company like the Philip Morris acquiring the food companies. Strategic implementation: related diversification is generally less risky and has a higher potential for the synergy, while unrelated diversification is primarily a financial risk management strategy. The next strategy framework or theory is the generic competitive strategy propounded by the Michael Porter. Purpose: to outline the fundamental ways a business unit can achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. Framework: Porter argued that a firm must choose one of those three strategies to avoid the being stuck in middle. Cost leadership: becoming the lowest cost producer in the industry. Basis of advantage: operational efficiency, economics of the skills, tight cost control. Example: Walmart, Rainier. Differentiation: creating a unique and valued product or service. Basis of advantage: brand image, technology, features, customer service, quality. Example: Apple, BMW, Rolex. Focus: serving a narrow competitive segment, a niche market, better than broader competitors. Basis of advantage can be either cost focus, locus in the niche, or differentiation focus, unique attributes for the niche. Example: Rolex. Differentiation focus on the luxury watches and local organic bakery. Differentiation focus on the local health conscious segment. Strategic implementation: this framework forces the clarity, trying to be both the low-cost leader and the differentiator simultaneously often leads to failure as the required resources and capabilities conflict. Next strategy is strategy for the capacity expansions purpose to plan how to increase an organization's ability to produce a goods or service. Framework: key strategic choice include leading versus lagging demand. Leading strategy: build the capacity ahead of anticipated demand. Lagging strategy: adding a capacity only after demand has materialized. Incremental versus lump expansion. Incremental: small frequent additions. Lump capacity: one large addition. Strategic implementation: the choice demands on the industry growth rate, the cost of the overcapacity versus low sales, and the ability of capital. New strategy is strategy for the entry into the new business purpose to determine the method for entering a new market or industry. Framework: a continuum of options with the increasing level of the commitment, control, and risks. Internal development: starting a new business from scratch. Pros: full control, ability to build desired culture. Cons: slow, expensive, high risk of failure. Acquisition: buying an existing company in the desired business. Pros: fast entry, immediate access to resource and market share. Cons: high cost, potential for culture class integrations, challenges. Strategic alliance and joint venture (JV), collaborating with another firm. Pros: sheer risks, cost, and expertise, faster than internal development. Cons: potential for conflict, risks of knowledge leakage, sheer control. Strategic implementation: the choice is a trade off between speed, control, and the risks. Acquisitions are the fast but expensive, while internal development offers the control but is slow. The next strategy or theory is strategy for a declining business. Purpose: to manage a business unit in a industry experiencing an experiencing an permanent drop in demand. Framework: several strategic options exist. Leadership strategy: aim to become the dominant player in the declining industry by acquiring competitors' market share. Suitable for companies with a strong strength and belief that the decline will be slow and orderly. Nice strategy: focus on a stable segment of the markets that will continue to have a demand. Suitable for companies that can identify and serve a loyal customer base. R-based strategy: gradually reduce investments to maximize the short-term cash flow from the business even at the expenses of the market share. Suitable for the business that are not critical to the company's failure. Divestment strategy: selling the business unit early while it still has value. Suitable for the companies that can find a buyers before the industry decline becomes severe. Strategic implementation: the key is to recognize the declining early and choose a clear deliberate strategy rather than continuing to invest as if growth will return. Conclusion. In the summary, the strategy framework and theories collaboratively from a comprehensive toolkit for strategy decision making. Each framework serves as the destined purpose in enabling the managers to analyze the complex situations, evaluate the options, and make the informed choice that align with the organization's overarching goal. The effectiveness of any strategy, however, hinges on its successful implementation, which requires the alignment with the organization's structure, culture, and the management control system. A well crafted strategy not only identifies the pathways to competitive advantage but also anticipates the challenge and adapts to dynamic environments. By leveraging these frameworks thoughtfully, organizations can navigate uncertainty, capitalize on the opportunities, and achieve the sustainable growth and reliances in a every involving business landscape. Thank you and best wishes for your upcoming future.